Remember, they're changing my voice. And I urge you to see the video before this where I explain the fundamentals of Revelation and why it is stupid to go the distance to try to solve every detailed revelation. Okay, the simplest answer is it can't be done because there's too many connections and the mind has to wrap itself around what's going on. So this is one kind of carrot on the stick that the churches and other groups use, to try to get people to be their slave and to be their apprentice and so on and so forth. So Revelation 12, the woman and the dragon. A great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. So again, the moon temple, the moon, the prince of darkness, the lunar cycle, lunacy, right? You see with the vampires and the werewolves and the full moon and so on and so forth, that it is an idea that goes back into the pagan world that the darkness is evil and the light is good and things of this nature. The moon is a symbol of a woman trying to be empowered, and the sun is a symbol of the Royal African Falcon martial art order, and there's all kinds of pagans that superimpose their deities on that idea. Okay, Genesis 10 in the Bible makes it clear that it is a Royal African Falcon martial art order. Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod was a mighty warrior before the Lord. So the sun symbolizes, God, the bridegroom, and also people who are right with God and the New Jerusalem in the sky. Okay, so, it goes back to more are the children of the barren women than the children that bore, right? And they're referring to the spiritual children of the New Jerusalem in the sky. Okay, and they talk about Leah and so on and so forth. Okay, I forget what these two women are called, but it really doesn't matter. I'm being filmed right now. I'm going to take the time to look it up. One of them, has to do with the Jews who are worldly. One of them has to do with the people who martyr themselves. And it's in Galatians 4 that Paul references it and says that the woman in the sky bears more children, right? Because eventually, people die, they go to heaven, and they bear more fruit in heaven, where people here are the walking dead. And that's what he's getting at. Okay. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. So again, remember, they're doing things in a way to try to confuse you, because only I know what I'm talking about here. These other guys are just playing a game, a puzzle game, a weird LGBT pedophile and sexual sadist puzzle game where they try to mislead everybody. And it's even encoded in the book where Satan leads the world astray. That's the churches, that's everybody else. Okay, so what is this enormous red dragon? It's symbolic of the devil. The 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns are symbolic of the kings and their kingdoms that are supposed to, convey the spirits of their kings, and their kings are of evil, obviously. It's red, the color of evil. The dragon, the ancient serpent, the devil. Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. Okay, so it's talking about the Spirit of God impregnated the spirit of the New Jerusalem in the sky, and it gave birth to, basically, this gets interesting because there's 2 interpretations here that come to mind. One is it gave birth to me, okay, into this world, but it's a little bit complicated because the Bible also argues that the soul of Christ was there from the beginning, right, before I was born. So again, there's all kinds of, it's like a stupid puzzle. What it's getting at is more important than the details of the puzzle. I don't know what to compare it to. I guess you compare it to eating a nice meal in a restaurant. Okay, the details of what's in the food, what isn't so important as enjoying the meal and talking to the people there and so on and so forth. Okay, and so it is with Revelation. The details are really, really stupid. Okay, it takes you on a long journey, and you say, okay, it's basically just saying that, Christ is coming back. There's some kind of turmoil, and he casts down the devil eventually, and there's other elements in nature that are making it hard for the devil to stop God's plan and so on and so forth. Okay, and it really pisses me off that they play this game and they fuel me and they poison me, and it's called Bible, so try to get me to babble on and on and on, right? But it also confuses the fact that the righteous person is going to keep explaining, right? That's what he does. They preach the gospel around the world, right? Tell the truth about God, try to get people to do the right thing. So it's something I'm going to do anyway. It's not like they're winning something. And of course, the Torah wordplay would say "tu rot," right? These people are very, very sick. Never doubt that the churches are run by people who are very sick. Synagogues, mosques, all the spiritual movements. It is how it is. It's like governments, right? Governments run churches. They don't, magically overlook the churches that are there. They're in globalist societies. They make sure all the churches worship the devil and so on and so forth, and all the movements they allow. That's why they persecute me, and they're all teaming up on me. And there's no other way it could be. It's impossible for it to be another way. Anyway, and her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil of Satan, that leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, "Now have come salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah, for the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down." So they no longer have any semblance of an argument. Okay, this has already happened, right? They no longer have any semblance of an argument to argue against me because I won the top martial arts challenge. It's like David and Goliath. He said he'll strike Goliath down, cut off his head, and the whole world would know there's a God in Israel. Well, when Christ comes back, he comes back in me. I'm the gate, the way, the truth, the life, the mighty warrior, mighty one, what have you. Okay, the Spirit of God, the angels in Christ, right? The angels and angels. Remember when he was baptized, the angels were ascending and descending on him. Okay, the Spirit comes on him in the form of a dust. The angels come through me, is what the story is saying. The angels of God, and they strike down the devil in his ankles. So his champions were beaten. They resorted to cheating. They were really hurled down in a very drastic way because they lost, and they resorted to cheating, and they resorted to telling people to shun me and fume me and poison me when it's a spiritual, natural contest, and those things make their side, worse losers. Pretty straightforward. That's why the word eros is scrambled in the word loser, right? Eros is sore, scrambled as well. Anagrams, and eros is a sore loser, erotic desire, LGBT desire, pedophilia, psychology, all the other conceptions of love. They're not true love, right? They're false love, and they're sore losers, and they're cowards, and they lack the virtue. Virtue means man. They're not true men, not true women, what have you. Okay, so, but he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice in heaven say, "Now have come the salvation and the power of the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down." So obviously Christ in me, right? So when people make love, it's supposed to be the mingling of the souls, right? So Christ in me has hurled these people, has hurled all these people down. And one of the main things they have in common is they're not in the divine order. So they don't make love, they don't love each other because they cheated God out of his spiritual conveyance through them and chose to rot and to lead their children, if they have children, to hell to rot. Okay. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives enough as to shrink from death. Unless they edit this video, too much, you could probably hear that my voice is sounding like raspy because they're fuming me. How could that be in my head? You see what I'm saying? It's straightforward that that's going on, and I have 22 witnesses and so on and so forth. All right, so what had happened here? Okay, the people who are in the Spirit of God triumph over the devil by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. They did not love their lives enough as to shrink from death, so they became one with me, and they joined in the Spirit with me. Okay, and the churches don't accomplish this. These other spiritual groups, they don't accomplish this. They worship the devil. Mass is a satanic mass. Communion, it's all satanic. Okay, those who are actually obeying God through me, right? The living Messiah, the one in the flesh, okay? The one whose spirit is alive. Um, they triumph by default because all victories are first and foremost in principle and in spirit, okay? So the principles don't exist to say that a bunch of white privileged cheaters, token minorities, thugs who, and so on and so forth, these people can't claim true victory, true martial victory, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Their spirit is not being able to overcome the world. They didn't transcend to alpha send, and they're just betas and cowards. You see what I'm saying? So, they lost because they weren't in the spirit of moral precision and focus, moral intensity. And God is known by this spirit. God is known by his righteous acts, exalted by his righteous acts. Therefore, rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you, he is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short. So the devil knows, those in the spirit of the devil know that they're going to live a short, they're going to live a pitiful life. The more they go crazy and the more they indulge, time flies when you're having fun as opposed to happiness. So the time goes by quickly and they die. So they're trying to take it out on everybody, and it goes back to sexual sadism, pedo sadism, taking out of everybody and their kids and so on and so forth. All right. Then when the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman who was given the two wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time and a half time. Out of the serpent's reach. Okay, this eagle is not the eagle of Babylon, Rome. Zeus is symbolized by an eagle. It has to do with natural, right? There's a difference between Horus as defined by them, which is satanic, and Horus as people trying to define the Son of God, the top martial arts, the Royal African Falcon martial art order. We see that in Genesis 10, Genesis 41, 45, okay, where Joseph marries Asenath, the priestess of Ra, the daughter of the high priest of Ra, the daughter of the high priest of Ra, Potiphar. Okay. I'm running out of time, so that's why I'm speaking fast. Anyway, quickly. So they're pursuing anybody who might team up with God, right? Anybody who's trying to be one with God. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with a torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening his mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus, especially by their acts. So you see the various groups, right? The Gnostics, the churches, Gnostic meaning knowledge, the tree of knowledge. So they interpret Revelation 12 in a very sick way, and they try to make it so the governing class seems chosen at times, some of these groups, and there's all kinds of disgusting sexual implications of the earth swallowing the water from the dragon. The dragon's a phallic symbol. I mean, very sick people, molesting children. I'm sure you know that part. And it's unbelievable, how they interpret the Bible, because their hearts are perverse. People roll with it, and there's no excuse. Okay, the Lord weighs the heart. Their inclinations are to listen to the church and follow them and not question them, because they're the children of the devil. They need to use logic while there's still time and scramble to obey God through me. There's no other way around it. Okay? Eventually I'll die, and then that's it. There won't be a speck of decency on the planet. Just people living a lie, people, being evil, being nice to evil people. When Proverbs makes it clear that the righteous detest the dishonest, the wicked detest the upright. So, when everyone's an unrepentant sinner with no way to repent, and no way to atone for their sins, no way to be redeemed, no valid king to redeem them, what then happens? When they say stupid things like God can redeem, like they can rape and kill everybody and socially engineer the planet and control reproduction, and then turn around and say, oh yeah, well we're forgiven by God, so as long as it's, the last 10 yards, we say, hey, I changed my life now, I'm going to do charity, and we say, brother, and be a Freemason. No, okay, Freemasons are evil, and that's not how you repent, and they're going to hell. For those of you who don't understand that, write down, I'm the beginning and the end. Right, the end of all chance to be right with God, the sealing of mankind into hell. 7 seals, which means there's no angels of God there to allow them to do God's work. Those angels aren't being delivered.